Speaking up is hard to do. I understood the true meaning of this phrase exactly 1 month ago when my wife and I became new parents. It was an amazing moment. It was exhilarating and elating, but it was also scary and terrifying. And it got particularly terrifying when we got home from the hospital and we home sure whether our little baby boy was getting enough nature from sleep, and we wanted to call our pediatrician, but we also didn't want to make bad first impression or come across as crazy, not a parent. So we worried and we waited. When we got to the doctor's office the next day, she immediately gave him formula because he was pretty deteriorated. Our son, our son is now, and our doctor has reassured us we can always. But in that moment, I should have spoken up, but I didn't. But sometimes we speak up when we shouldn't, and I learned that over 10 years ago when I let my twin brother down. My twin brother is documentary filmmaker, and for one of this film, for the first film, he got offer from a distribution company, and he was excited and he was inclined to accept the offer. But as a negotiation researcher, I insisted he make counter offer, and he helped him cra- craft the perfect one, and it was perfect. It was perfectly insulting. The company was so offended they literally withdrew the offer, and my brother was left with nothing. And I have asked people all over the world about this dilemma of speaking up when they can assert themselves, when they can put their interests, when they can express an opinion, when they can make an impetus us, and the range of stories and varied and diverse, but they also make up a universal term packet. Can I correct my boss when they make a mistake? Can I comfort my coworker who keeps stepping on my toes? Can I challenge my friend's insensitive joke? Can I tell the person I love the most my deepest insecurities? And through these experiences, I have come to recognize that each of us have something called range of acceptable behavior. Now, sometimes we're too strong. We push ourselves too much. That's what happened with my brother. Even making an offer was outside his range of acceptable behavior. But sometimes we're too. That's what happened with my wife and I. And this range of acceptable behavior is when we stay within our range, we were rewarded. When we step outside the range, we get punished in very high way. We get dismissed or demeaned and even ostracized, or we lose the raise or that promotion or that deal. Now, the first thing we need to do to know this is what is my range. But The key things our range isn't fixed. It's actually very dynamic. It expands and it narrows based on the context, and there is one thing that determines that range more than, and that's your power. Your power determines your range. What is power? Power comes in a lot of forms. In negotiation, it comes from form of alternatives. So my brother and I know alternatives. He lacked power. The company had lot of alternatives. They had power. Or sometimes it's being new to a country like immigrant, or new to an organization, or new to an experience, like my wife and I as new parents. Sometimes it's at work, where someone's the boss, and someone's subdirector. Sometimes it's a relationship where one person's more invested than the other person, and the key thing is that when we have lots of power, our range is very wide. We have we have a lot of leeway in how to behave. But when we lack power, our range narrows. We have very little leeway, and the problem is that when our range narrows, that produces something called the low power double bind. And the low power double bind happens when if we don't speak up, we go unnoticed, but if we do speak up, we get punished. Now, many of you have heard the phrase that's double bind and connected it with one thing, and that gender. The gender double bind is women who don't speak up go unnoticed, and women who do speak up get punished. And the key thing is that women have the same need as the men to speak up, but they have barriers to doing this. So, but um, but what my research has shown of last decade is that what looks like gender difference is not really a gender double bind. It really a low power determine. And what looks like gender difference or really often just about differences in disguise. O- Oftentimes we see difference between men and women, and we think biological cause. There is something fundamentally different about the sexes. But in the study after study, I found that the better explanation for many sex differences is really power, and so it's the low power double bind, and the low power double bind means that have narrow range, and we lack power, we have narrow range, or our double bind is very large. So we need to find ways to expand our range, and over the last couple decades, my colleagues have and I have found two things really matter. The first, you seem powerful in your own eyes. The second, you seem powerful in the eyes of others. When I feel powerful, I feel confident, not for fearful. I expand my own range. When other people see me as a powerful, They grant me a wonder range. So we need tools to expand our range of acceptable behavior, and I am going to give you a set of tools today. Now, speaking up is risky, but these tools will lower your risk of speaking up. So, the first tool uh, I'm going to give you got discovered in negotiation, an important finding. On average, women make less ambitious offers and get worse outcomes than men at the bartering table. But Haney, Riley Bowles, and Emily Monitrol have discovered there is one situation where women get the same outcome and are just as ambitious. That's when they advocate for others. And they advocate for others, they discover their own range and expand it in their own mind. They become more assertive. This is sometimes called the mama bear effect. Like a mama bear defending her cubs. When we advocate for others, we can discover our own voice. But sometimes we have to advocate our source. How do we do that? One of the most important tools we have to advocate for ourselves is something called perspective taking. And perspective taking is really simple. It's simply looking at the world through the eyes of another person.